Hey everybody, hey Matt, hey Dusty. This one's for you or anybody else that wants to figure out why I'm putting logs in my garden beds. The term is called Hugelkultur. I have a book called Gaia's Garden by Toby Hemingway, and in it there's like just a brief introduction to it. Basically it talks about in Europe, the idea was kind of developed. Just take logs and brush and stuff like that and pile it up and compact it and put compostable materials, grass clippings and such down, and then put your compost on top of that, and then put a little bit of topsoil on it, and you create these nice mounds for your raised garden beds. And he talks about how his potatoes and things really love it, and he's able to get through colder times because the stuff that's down in the bed is composting, and it's kind of warming the bed up. But of course, once the bed's kind of established, you won't have that effect, but you will kind of create a microclimate because any kind of a raised bed, you got sections that are higher up off the ground, easier access to the sun, and then the low spots, the frost and everything will drift down to those spots. I also heard about this on a podcast. Podcast is a survival podcast. Look up an interview with Paul Wheaton. I think it's probably one of the first interviews that was done with Paul, and he did a lot of talking about the Hugelkultur. There's a YouTube channel for the survival podcast, and Jack's done some Hugelkultur beds and swells and berms and stuff like that here lately, so you could also check out his videos on it, or you can check out Paul's channel, which is Paul Wheaton 12. I think that's Wheaton as in WHEATON 12, and he's got some videos where they basically just chop down a tree and they build this huge mound with the logs. I mean, it was a big tree too, and they just pile it all up and put compost and soil and stuff around it, and so you got this garden bed that's like 4, 5, 6 foot tall in the center. So basically, as the logs decompose, they're gonna become like sponges and hold on to the moisture. I mean, you can see this just by going into a forest, and looking at the way the forest does it when branches fall down, and they eventually kind of decompose. You get buildup of grasses and things like that, leaf litter surrounds them, and eventually you get this mound. I mean, this isn't kind of natural. This is where I've just piled a bunch of brush, but you see there's all these grasses and weeds and stuff growing through here, and then that will die and leave all this matter here, and it's going to eventually start to build up and up until you're going to have this mound of stuff growing. Kind of losing my train of thought there. Trying to see if I got anything I can really show you, but this is where I get a lot of my logs. Chopped down some trees and stuff like that last year, but like this, it's breaks down, it holds moisture, and it's going to slowly release the nutrients. Your first year, a lot of people probably worry about nitrogen being soaked up by the wood. So yeah, you can use chicken manure or some other kind of high nitrogen fertilizer like fish emulsions, and that will help give your plants that nitrogen boost that first year. But after that, you won't really need it. These back 3 garden beds, the new ones that I've done just this year pretty much. These 2, they weren't Hugelkultur last year, they were regular garden beds. They did alright. But those 2 back there, I had tomatoes in all of them, and I gave up on them because, for one, we had 110-degree days all last summer. 2, I had blister beetles. I could come out here and count like 30-40 beetles on one plant. So I kind of gave up on them. And come out here in September and they're still green, they're still lush, and they were starting to put on fruit. I would have had tomatoes on them for Thanksgiving if we hadn't had a cold front move in. Finally kill them. This garden bed I haven't done anything new to. I just put a bunch of branches, probably like inch and a half thick, down in there, and I actually dug them down into the ground and topped it off with dirt and compost. This one over here, I did that same thing last year, only this year I added more wood to it, built it up, and then these I actually went out and got some of the old logs that were sitting back there. So you got logs that are 3-4 inches thick, and the new garden bed I just put cardboard down and then put the logs on top of that, which I didn't do with the rest of them, so we'll see if that makes any kind of difference. It does kind of stop the roots, but of course as the cardboard moistens up, it's going to be easy enough for the roots to kind of break through. The cardboard itself will probably hold some moisture too. But yeah, look up Paul Wheaton, richsoil.com. He's got a pretty good example of it on his website with a pretty good graph of what it'll break down and look like over the years. Mine will basically go for like a week or 2 without watering, so I could come out here and water it one day and leave it for a while. The more logs, the thicker the logs, you could probably go, you know, all summer. I've heard about these things being done in like New Mexico, Arizona, where they get very little water, and what water they get in the spring is able to be enough for the garden. So there's some places for you to look at and get some more information than what I have. I'm just trying it out. I don't have all the information, so hope that helps.